Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope students you all are doing good in your home. Students, we have started your chapter of geography, that is climate. In that you have learned many topics like what is climate, what is weather, what are the factors that affects climate and all. Yes, so likewise students, now today in the video, okay, you are going to understand and learn that how the climate and temperature changes, okay, how there is, the change in temperature and climate in our earth took place, what are the working system due to which the changes took place so drastically that in few months we used to feel hot in summers and cold in winters. So for that all students, I am going to show you a video, okay, so that you better just watch it properly and then only you will understand that how this changes took place, okay, why there is a change in the climate and temperature in earth and due to which we used to feel different seasons, okay. So for that just watch the video carefully, okay students.
Climate, that is the difference between the climate and weather, elements of weather and climate, then how temperature and precipitation vary from place to place and season to season. Then I left with few questions, that is, these variations in temperature and precipitations lead to variation in food the people eat, clothes they wear, and kind of houses. For example, I told you in southern India, their staple diet is rice. In northern India, their staple diet is wheat. So they differ because of the climatic conditions. In the same way, the clothes they wear. In winters, we wear woolen clothes. In summers, we wear cotton clothes. Now, coming to the kind of houses, there were three questions which I asked you in the last class. Why houses in Rajasthan have thick walls and flat roofs? Children, Rajasthan we know is a region where the temperatures are generally high. So the walls are thick so that the heat is not absorbed, so that the sun rays do not fall into the houses. So the thick walls are there which prevents the sun rays. Flat roof. Now, why the flat roof is there? Because if there is any amount of rainfall, even a 10 centimeters or 20 centimeters of rainfall is there, that will stand on the roof. That water will stand on the roof, due to which the house will be cool. That is why they have the flat roofs. Coming to the next question, why is it that houses in Terai region? What is Terai region, children? We have done below the Shivalik region. There is a region called as Terai region, which is wet and humid. Where it is wet, the soil is wet and it's very much rainy there. Rainfall, a lot of rains are there in Terai region, and lot of rivers flow in that region. And in Goa and Mangalore, these are the also two regions where there is a lot of rainfall. They have sloping roofs. Now, you know what are sloping roofs. Now, why there are sloping roofs? Because the rainfall is very high in these regions. When the rain falls, the water will slide down. That is why they have the sloping roofs. The water will slide down. That is why they have the sloping roofs. Next one we have question, why houses in Assam are built on stilts? You know, Assam is there in the eastern part of India where river Brahmaputra is flowing. Now, every year there is a flood in Assam because of this river and heavy rainfall. when the water falls, when the rainwater gets added to this river water, the level of the water increases and there is flood in Assam. So to prevent the houses from this flood, houses are built on stilts. Now what is a stilt? They are the bamboo sticks which are very very hard, not very soft, which are generally a stick. It is a stick which is fixed onto the ground and the house is at the elevated area. House is at the little bit higher area from the earth. So from the downstairs, from the downwards, you will see, like you might have seen like malls and all, where the pillars are there from the ground and the first floor actually starts from the higher level. In the same way, instead of these pillars, there they have the bamboo sticks upon which the house will be there. House will be standing there little bit at a higher level so that the flood water do not enter into the houses. So that is why houses in Assam are built on stilts. So children, now today we start with the next part of the chapter, which is called as climatic controls or factors affecting climate. There are 6 factors which are controlling the climate or which are affecting the climate. They are latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from sea, ocean currents, and relief features. We will do one by one, children. The first figure which we are going to do here is the latitude. How latitude affects the, how it varies because of the latitudes, how temperature varies from region to region. Children, we all know, you might have seen this figure in your lower classes. This figure shows the equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, and the zones which are called as torrid zone, temperate zone, and frigid zone. When we talk about the equator, children, from the equator, that is from 0 degrees to 23.5 degrees north and 23.5 degrees south, the zone is called as torrid zone. It is very hot here. Now why is it very hot? Because here the rays of the sun, they fall vertical. Vertical means they fall directly onto the equator. So this zone which I have shown you just now, this zone receives the highest amount of temperature. So it is called as torrid zone between the 23.5 degree north and 23.5 degree south, as the sun rays are falling directly onto this zone or vertically sun rays are falling. From the 23.5 degree north to 66.5 degree north, in the same way from 23.5 degrees south to 66.5 degrees south, it is called as temperate zone. You can see here it is written on both the sides in north and south. It is temperate zone. This region receives less amount of sun rays because as we move away from the equator, the sun rays are falling slanting. This is equator. As we move towards the poles, the sun rays become slanting and it receives less amount of sun rays. So the temperatures are low in temperate zone on the both the spheres. As we further move towards the poles from 66.5 degrees to 90 degrees, which is North Pole 90 degrees. In the same way, 66.5 degrees to South Pole, that is 90 degrees at the South Pole. Here, this zone is called as frigid zone. What is frigid zone? Here it is very cold because the sun rays are completely falling slanting over here. Children, you can see the sun rays are slanting over here. So that is why this zone receives very less amount of temperature due to which these regions are very cold. So they are named as frigid zone. So we have three zones, children: torrid zone, temperate zone, frigid zone. Now what we have to actually do in here in class 9 is that due to the curvature of our earth's surface, we know that our earth's surface, the surface of the earth, this curvature, this is what we are talking about, the curvature shape of the earth's surface. The solar energy received varies from one latitude to another latitude. Children, you know the latitude. This equator, this is your one latitude. Tropic of Cancer, another latitude. These are the latitudes which we did in the first chapter also, isn't it? So, from one latitude to another latitude, the temperature varies. For example, temperature decreases as we move away from the equator to the polar regions. Again, I am repeating, temperature decreases as we move from away from the equator towards the poles. So that means on the equator we have very high temperature, but as we go towards the north pole and south pole, temperature declines. So it is very cold in the south pole and the north pole regions. This is what is, children, latitudinal effect. So, how latitude affects the climate of a region. So, if a region is there in equator zone, any region which is there in the equator area, that region, the temperature will be high. If there is any country which is in this frigid zone, any country or any area, definitely the temperature will be very low. So that is how latitude affects the climate of a place or a country or an area. You can see one more picture which shows the sun rays of also, which I have already explained you here. The sun rays and latitude, children. You can see the same which I have explained you. See how sun rays spread over a narrow area when they are falling on the equator, and the sun rays are spread over a wider area when they are falling towards the temperate zone or to the polar regions, because of which you can see here the rays are slanting in the polar and in the polar regions. You can see the rays are spread over a larger area. This is the larger area which they are spread. But here they are falling onto a smaller area, narrow area, and they are falling vertical, straight. So the heat is more. On the poles, they are covering a wider area and the rays are slanting. So the heat is less. That's what is the first point, children. Latitude. That is the first point. The second factor, children, which we are describing, second factor is your altitude, which I will show you here itself. Now, when I talk about altitude, what is it, children? Altitude is height above the sea level. Height above the sea level. For example, this is a mountain, we know that. This is a plateau. Okay? And this is a, now these are the lower hills of Himalayas. That is, the height here is less. As we go higher, what happens to the temperature, children? This is the lower layers of a hill where the temperature is not very low. But as we go up like this, we are climbing up. What happens to temperature, children? At higher altitudes, that is here, if you see here, in comparison to the lower levels of Himalayas, you will see the temperature is low over the higher altitudes. So what do we say? We say that at higher altitudes, temperature declines, or as we go higher. Altitude I am talking about, children, not latitude. So don't get confused. Latitude is different, altitude is different. Altitude is height above sea level. Okay, so suppose this is the sea level. From this sea level, we measure the height of a plane. Height of a plane. Maybe this is a plane. Height of a plateau. Height of a mountain. We measure from this region height of a mountain. So, when we talk about the height of the mountain, as I was describing over here, we say that here on the top the temperature is less. As we go higher, the temperature declines. Children, what is the reason for this? Now this question I am leaving it to you, that why temperature declines as we go higher. As we climb higher, you might have seen as we go high into the mountainous areas, you will feel that the temperature is declining. What is the reason for this? You find out the reason in the next class. We will discuss the reason also. But children, it is very interesting if you find out the reason that why temperature declines as we go higher. That's what is the second factor which affecting the climate. So, altitude is a factor affecting the climate. At higher altitude, temperature decreases. That's the second factor, children. Now, we go to the third factor. That is your, you can see the figure. Can you identify what is that, children? The figure. This tells about pressure and wind system. This tells about pressure and wind system. You can see the winds. These arrows which are shown, they are the winds which are blowing. You can see. Now this depends upon the latitude and altitude of a place. They influence temperature as well as precipitation. Now to understand this, children, first of all, you have to understand the concept which I am telling you. Forget about these terms which are given over here first of all. Understand what I am telling here. Now this region which I am showing you, children, this is your equator. We all know this. I have just shown you in the earlier figure, children. This is the equator. And this is your Tropic of Cancer. And here it is this is your Tropic of Cancer in the north, and in the south this is your Tropic of Capricorn. In the north, Tropic of Cancer, and in the south it is Tropic of Capricorn. Now, why the winds are shown like this? Why the winds are blowing from tropics to the equator? Why the winds are blowing from tropics to equator? You can see from in the northern side the winds are blowing from Tropic of Cancer to equator. In the southern side the winds are blowing from Tropic of Capricorn to equator. Why they are blowing like this? They are blowing like this because winds always blow from high pressure area. H is high, children. They blow from high pressure area to low pressure area. Winds, this is the concept which never changes, children. Winds always blow from high pressure area to low pressure area. Now, where will be high pressure area? High pressure area will be in those regions where temperature is low. I know that it's very, I don't know how many of you are able to follow what I am writing there. Temperature is low. High pressure area is in the region where temperature is low. So they are opposite, children. Low pressure area will be in the region where temperature will be, I know now you got the answer. Temperature is high. When the temperature is high, pressure is low. Why? Now you may ask the question, why is it so? Why the temperature is high, the pressure is low? Children, you might have seen when you boil water, what happens? The temperature is high, you are boiling water, temperature is high. What happens to the water vapor? It enters into the atmosphere and it spreads. The molecules which are present in the atmosphere, which are present there, they spread. You can see the steam which goes into the air and they spread. They are never in one place. They spread into the air. So what is the pressure over there when they are spreading? The pressure is low. The pressure is low. They create vacuum. They create vacuum. In the same manner, when we talk about temperature is low, temperature is low, you freeze the water. What will happen? All the molecules which are present in the atmosphere will squeeze, will solidify, and the pressure will become high. The molecules will be packed and the pressure will be very high. So, what will happen? Where the winds will blow? I'll tell you one more example, children, to understand this. For example, there are two sections. Section A, it will take long time to explain this point, children. Section A and section B. There are two sections, section A and section B. Okay, so now in A there are 80 students, in B there are 40 students. In A section there are 80 students and in B there are 40 students only 40 students, and they are closed in a room. The room is closed. What will happen? Now they can't go anywhere else. They can only interchange. That's it. No other space is there to occupy. And the room is closed for 1 hour, 2 hours. What will happen suddenly after the rooms are opened? Where will the children will go? The children will go from A to B or B to A. You ask the question yourselves. There is no other place to go. Only they can either shift from B to A or A to B. Where the children will move? The children will move from A to B. Why? Because in A, there are more number of students. So you can take this as high pressure. Because in the A, the more number of students, the pressure is high. I'm actually just giving a small example. You don't have to write this answer anywhere. This is just to explain you that the winds blow from high pressure to low pressure, because in B section there is space. In B section there is space to occupy. So when the rooms are open, the doors are open, the children will move from, they run rather from A section to B section. In the same way, the winds will blow from high pressure to low pressure area. Because in the low pressure area, there is space. The molecules which are present in the high pressure area, they are tightly packed. They are tightly packed, the molecules, because the temperature is low. So, the moment they get the space, they start moving towards the low pressure area where there is more space and the molecules can be occupied over there. So that's how the winds will blow from high pressure to low pressure areas, or you can say that the winds will blow from the regions of where the temperature is low. The winds will blow from the regions where the temperature is low to the regions where the temperature is high. Where the temperature is high. Now, remember this concept, children. The whole chapter of climate is based on this concept, blowing of wind. I am repeating, winds will blow from high pressure region to low pressure region. Where is high pressure? High pressure is in the region where the temperature is low. Where the temperature is low. Like here the temperature is low. If you compare with the equator, on the equator the temperature is high. On the equator temperature is high. But on the in comparison to equator, on the tropics the temperature is low. In the same way here, the temperature on Tropic of Cancer, the temperature is low in comparison to the equator. So now you see here the temperature is low. So temperature is low. So what is the pressure? Pressure is high. Pressure is high. I am trying to write, children. Pressure is pH is pressure is high. Temperature is low on Tropic of Cancer. In the same way, pressure is high here on the Tropic of Capricorn. And on the equator, temperature is high, but pressure is low. So the winds will blow from high pressure to low pressure area. In the same way here also, winds are blowing from high pressure to low pressure area, which is the equator. So that's what is the figure, children. Now you can see the winds are blowing like this. High pressure to, you can see H is written over there. High pressure to low pressure area. In the same way, southern region, the winds are blowing from H high to high pressure region to low pressure areas. I hope the concept is very clear. Now, what is intertropical convergence zone? It is a zone where the tropical winds are meeting. It is a zone, intertropical convergence zone. It is a zone where the winds are meeting. You know the winds, the winds which are blowing from these tropics, what they are bringing onto the equator. You have studied the equator temperature is high and the rainfall is also very high. On the equator, temperature is high, rainfall is also high, because these winds which are blowing from high pressure region to low pressure region, they are bringing rainfall. So, on the equatorial zone, there is a large amount of rainfall. High amount of rainfall on the equatorial zone. In comparison to the tropics, the rainfall is very high in this zone. Isn't it, in the equator zone? Because the winds from both the sides, the winds are coming towards the equator. So here the temperature is high, as well as the rainfall is also very high. Children, I'll tell you one example. You might have seen during the winters, rainfall is very less. Even in India, I am talking about. In summers, when the temperature goes very high, 45 degrees, 47 degrees, have you ever observed suddenly there is rainfall? Why? Because when the temperature goes high, what happens to pressure? The pressure falls down. The moment the pressure falls down, it will attract the winds from the sea. It will attract the winds from the sea, and that is why there is rainfall. That is why immediately after the summers there is rainy season. Because the temperature increases, pressure goes down, it will attract the winds. That is same concept here in the world also, children. Temperature is high, it will pull the winds from the tropics, and the temperature is high as well as the winds, because the winds are blowing towards the equator. There is a high amount of rainfall over there, children. So that's about the pressure and wind, children. I'm just summarizing this part because I know it's a very big part, children, pressure and wind. Without this concept, you will not understand the whole chapter. That's why this is very, very important. So the pressure and wind system depends on latitudes. They influence temperature and precipitation. Winds will blow always from the high pressure to the low pressure areas. Where the pressure is high, temperature is low. Where the pressure is low, temperature is high. You can write even the opposite way also, which I have written. If the temperature is high, pressure is low. If the temperature is low, pressure is high. So the winds are blowing from high pressure to low pressure, from the Tropic of Cancer to equator, in the same way from Tropic of Capricorn to the equator. That is why on the equator, the winds are moving towards the equator. That zone is called, the equatorial zone is called as intertropical convergence zone, because both the winds are meeting over here, which is giving high amount of rainfall. These winds which are blowing from tropics to equator, they are also known as trade winds. What are they called as, children? They are called as trade winds. Trade winds are permanent winds. What are these trade winds? They are permanent. They blow whole throughout the year as it is. They don't change. They blow throughout the year as it is, because equatorial zone is always hot heat zone. It is a heat zone, torrid zone, which I have shown. So the wind movement, trade winds movement is always continuous. So they are permanent winds. The winds which are shown here, which are westerlies, trade winds, these are the permanent winds, children. That is what is the pressure and wind system. Rest of the parts you don't have to do, children. This polar front, etc. This Farrell's law will do later. This Farrell's law we will do later, children. In the later part of the chapter it is there. So there will do. So for today we have done latitude as a factor, altitude as a factor, pressure and wind system as a factor. In the next class we'll continue, children, with the rest of the factors. I hope you have followed. You can further go through the videos which I have sent, children. That's all, children, for today. Have a good day.